The modern calendar functions as an unintentional archive, stacking layers of human history within every 24-hour block. Take a core sample of a single date, May 5th. Drilling down through the records of this specific day reveals a persistent tension between the exercise of absolute power and the movements that rose to dismantle it. It is a date that marks both the end of a world-shaping imperial career and the beginning of a massive struggle for self-determination. Analyzing May 5th across a 200-year span provides a clear view of how global authority shifted away from old-world empires and toward independent nations. In 1821, the global landscape was dominated by sprawling European empires. On May 5th of that year, French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte died in exile, confined to this modest house in the remote South Atlantic. Napoleon's death signaled the end of a career built on old-world conquest, where a single ruler could attempt to dominate an entire continent through sheer military force. 90 years later, on May 5, 1911, the focus of this date shifts to the British-controlled Indian subcontinent. This was the birthdate of Prittilada Watadar. She would eventually become a key figure in the armed resistance against British rule, participating in raids on colonial strongholds to challenge foreign occupation. The records of May 5th illustrate a long-term transition in how power is contested, moving from the fall of the traditional imperial conqueror in 1821 to the birth of a new generation of anti-colonial resistance in 1911. By 1930, the effort to end colonial rule in India had reached a critical mass. On May 5th of that year, the British government took the drastic step of arresting Mahatma Gandhi and imprisoning him without a trial. This extrajudicial arrest was an attempt to neutralize the civil disobedience movement by removing its primary strategist from the public eye. The date now held two distinct forms of pressure against the British Empire: the philosophical defiance of Gandhi and the physical resistance of revolutionaries like Watadar. Using imprisonment without trial was a reactive measure, indicating that the traditional tools of imperial control were no longer sufficient to maintain authority. As the political grip of the empire began to loosen, the narrative of the subcontinent began to move from the prison cell and the battlefield into the arts. This shift is reflected in the May 5th births of playwright Shekhar Chatterjee in 1924 and actor Basanta Chowdhury in 1928. Through theater and cinema, these figures helped articulate a shared public experience that moved beyond the immediate logistics of political struggle. The timeline of this day concludes on May 5, 2006, with the death of the influential music director Naushad. Naushad's work over several decades provided a consistent musical backdrop for the films and media of an independent India. While political movements dismantle old structures of power, it is the creative work produced in their wake that provides the tangible texture of a new, self-determined identity. Viewing these 18 decades as a single sequence reveals the underlying trajectory of the modern era. As the historical wave of imperial authority subsides, the waves of resistance and cultural expression rise to take its place. The timeline of May 5th tracks the transition from the era of global conquerors to the emergence of self-determined nations. Every day on the calendar carries this kind of weight, a hidden record of the long, steady movement of human progress.